Hi everybody, and welcome to the Millennial Revolt, an independent political talk show that seeks to bring a different narrative than the stale one we have going on right now in the mainstream media. So today we're going to be talking about President-elect Trump finally picking his Secretary of State, the most important role in his cabinet, because this person is going to be the chief diplomat for our country. He has picked CEO of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson, and I think this is a good pick. I think this is an extremely smart and savvy pick on his part, but there is backlash that he is facing from the left and the right, usually the typical candidates, and I'm going to explain why I like this pick because there's so much to discuss, so let's just get right into it. President-elect Donald Trump will nominate Rex Tillerson to be the 69th Secretary of State. The ExxonMobil CEO will also serve as a member of the National Security Council. A statement from Trump's transition team said that Tillerson, who is 64 years old, is a forceful and clear-eyed advocate for America's vital national interests and will help reverse years of misguided foreign policies and actions that have weakened America's security and standing in the world. Now, I am not somebody who believes in the whole doctrine of peace through strength. Now, peace through strength is a phrase which suggests that military power can help preserve peace. This has not worked. Unfortunately, what it has done is created more international issues. We live in a multipolar world. It's important that we stop acting like we live in a unipolar world, because we do not. We have to actually start working with our European and Asian and South American as well as our African allies, because it's important that you have a clear consensus from all of the countries you are engaging with when you want to do things internationally, and we also have to follow international law. Now, I see the United States going down the Roman Empire route. Now, some of the major causes for the fall of the Roman Empire was a decline in morals, political corruption, a fast expansion of the empire, constant wars, heavy military spending, a failing economy, unemployment of the working class, a decline in ethics and values. Now, I think it's important that we turn this ship around before there isn't a ship left to turn. It's important that we get our foreign policy under control, and we have a Secretary of State who is in agreement and is in line with our president and who wants to correctly execute what the president-elect, which is Donald Trump, who is trying to put forward. President-elect Trump released a statement on his Twitter account saying, "I have chosen one of the truly great business leaders of the world, Rex Tillerson, chairman and CEO of ExxonMobil, to be Secretary of State. The thing I like best about Rex Tillerson is that he has a vast experience at dealing successfully with all types of foreign governments. Rex Tillerson's career is the embodiment of the American dream. Through hard work, dedication, and smart deal making, Rex rose through the ranks to become CEO of ExxonMobil, one of the world's largest and most respected companies." Now, there could be some worry as far as Tillerson's association with big oil in respect of the U.S. Gulf relations. Now, there has been dissension between the left and the right, both Democrats and Republicans, as far as their opposition to the nomination of Rex Tillerson. Now, in our political elite class in Congress in Washington, there's this sort of Russophobia that is well accepted, and you see it all throughout Western Europe. The political elites seem to just hate Russia because they don't bow, in my opinion, they do not bow down to the whims of the United States. And as I said, we live in a multipolar world. Each country has their own geostrategical interests that needs to be respected and understood. Now, Republicans like John McCain and Lindsey Graham, as well as Senator Marco Rubio, have all come out against Rex Tillerson, and he's being portrayed as some sort of enemy to the state. If you go on television, if you watch Fox, CNN, MSNBC, it's basically like Tillerson is some sort of fucking Russian agent. I've never seen this kind of hysterics in my lifetime. Now, to anyone who wants friendship with the superpower that is the Russian Federation, because they are a superpower. Contrary to popular belief, Russia is the second strongest army in the world, with as much nuclear weapons as we have. It's important that we are friends with them and we have good relations and we don't take our country to the brink like Hillary Clinton was trying to do. Now, anyone who wants friendship with the Russian Federation is seen as some sort of traitor to America rather than a realist, and moreover, someone who wants to protect Americans from the actual threat of Islamic terrorism. Now, John McCain has allied himself with every single enemy of Russia and has been photographed on numerous occasions alongside Ukrainian neo-Nazis as well as Islamic terrorists in both Iraq and Syria. So it's very hypocritical of him to say, I have very serious questions about anyone who has ties to the Russian Federation. Well, I have very serious questions about anyone who is seen in photographs with people who want to blow up our goddamn country. The one thing that I can say is Donald Trump has been very, very consistent on wanting to normalize ties with Russia and have a better relation with the Russian Federation, because we do not need to be antagonizing the second strongest country in the world with as much nuclear weapons as we have. And I continue to stress this. There is no winner in the nuclear holocaust. Everyone is going to die. And if you think that just because we have the strongest army in the world and a large military apparatus behind us, that we would win in a fight like that, you're really fucking mistaken, because nobody wins in a situation like that. Everybody dies. So I would like to have my president basically being on speaking terms and can work with President Vladimir Putin on issues that can benefit both of our countries. Because as I said, we don't live in a unipolar world. The United States can't be dictating to other people all the time. That's not how this works. You have to actually engage in diplomacy and in good faith. Now, do I think Rex Tillerson is going to have a hard time getting confirmed? Yes, he will. There's going to be a lot of questions that's going to be asked on both the left and the right. But do I think he's going to get confirmed? No issues. Yes, he will. One of the reasons why is because Donald Trump actually just put Mitch McConnell's wife in as transportation secretary. So is that going to be helpful when he wants to get Rex confirmed? Yes, I actually think that is. Rex Tillerson released a statement saying that he was honored by his selection and shares Trump's vision for restoring the credibility of the United States foreign relations and advancing our country's national security. Trump's team has voiced its confidence about its ability to get the president-elect's multiple nominees confirmed, but Tillerson appears likely to pose the toughest challenge. In a bid to fend off Republican opposition, the Trump team has lined up support from some really high-profile national security experts. Condoleezza Rice, who served as Secretary of State under President George W. Bush, called Tillerson a successful businessman and a patriot who will represent the interests and values of the United States with resolve and commitment. Exxon is a client of the consulting firm run by Condoleezza Rice and former Defense Secretary Robert Gates, who also endorsed Tillerson. Still, some Republicans are voicing doubts, including Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who said he had serious concerns about the nomination. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham said he expects the U.S.-Russia relationship to be front and center in Tillerson's confirmation hearing. Reince Priebus, Trump's incoming chief of staff, said that Tillerson was chosen because he is a diplomat that happens to be able to drill oil. Priebus said the good Lord didn't put oil in all freedom-loving democracies across the world, and yet Rex Tillerson was able to make this work. Donald Trump and Rex Tillerson, they hit it off, and they have a similar vision on how to get things done. Like I said, I think Rex Tillerson is a smart pick. I think it's a good pick. I think it sticks with Donald Trump's foreign policy goals and what he envisions the world to be. I think the people who he has surrounded himself with as far as his cabinet choices are on board with his vision. My only problem is a lot of them seem to be anti-Iran, and I don't think that's a good thing as well. I think Rex Tillerson is going to have a tough confirmation hearing, but I do think he's going to get confirmed. And if Democrats and Republicans' only problem is he has a speaking relationship with Vladimir Putin, I think they will further discredit themselves. I think if the Democratic Party tries to hold up his nomination, they will suffer in the midterms. That's what I believe. I think if John McCain and Lindsey Graham both try to hold up this nomination and continue with their Cold War warrior crap, I think they will make themselves an enemy of this administration. And there's a lot of Trump supporters who already do not like Lindsey Graham and John McCain because of their Cold War warrior crap and always wanting to bomb someone. It's very cynical, the behavior of these people. But again, the Republican Party is going to need to make a decision. Will you try to stop your president-elect's pick just because you're a bunch of ideologues? I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to go down that route, because if you try to stop the person that he wants to pick, what makes you think he's going to try to do some of the things you want to? He could just veto all of this. Look at the way he masterfully played Mitt Romney's ass. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a road they want to go down. I don't think Russia is stepping all over us. I'm not in the mindset that Russia had anything to do with our elections. Do I think they prefer Donald Trump to be in the White House? Yes, they did, for obvious reasons. Hillary Clinton was a madwoman. She was claiming that she was going to put a no-fly zone over Syria and shoot down Russian airplanes out of the sky. Who the hell would want to work with that? How do you engage in diplomacy when you and the Democratic Party were going around red scaring on national television? And you see this being played out right now. Both Democrats and Republicans are doing this. It's the strangest thing. You would think we were back in the Cold War, the way these people are acting. You would think that the USSR is still around, that there are communists in our government, the way these people are acting. It's like a Russian conspiracy. But I think Rex Tillerson is a smart choice. I think it's a good choice. I think Donald Trump is setting the tone for the way American foreign policy should be handled from now on. We should not be antagonizing the second strongest nuclear power in the world. I think we should work with the Russian Federation when we can, the Russian government. I think we should both be able to advance both of our countries' goals without stepping on each other's toes. I think we should make terrorism, fighting global terrorism, a priority for both of our countries. I think that's a place where we can work together. We can agree when we can and disagree when we can't, but it shouldn't be in a way where diplomatic ties break down to the point where they are now. It should never get to this point, because this isn't like it was in the 1930s, the 1920s, countries go to war, that's it. We have weapons that can basically kill the population, and I stress this because this is something that was really missed in this election. People didn't really seem to understand that, and now there's mass hysteria in the media about the Russians interfering. So it's not helping, and I find it so funny that as soon as a president actually wants détente and actually wants to reset relations with the Russian government and doesn't just pay it lip service, that there's this sudden hysteria in the media. I find it extremely convenient. As I said, there is a lot of opposition from the establishment, from the left and the right, because of Mr. Tillerson's close relationship with Mr. Vladimir Putin. He also received Russia's Order of Friendship, which was bestowed to him by the president himself, who has known Putin since he represented Exxon's interests in Russia during the regime of Boris Yeltsin. He has more interactive time with Vladimir Putin than probably any other American, with the exception of Henry Kissinger, said John Harum, a former deputy defense secretary during the Clinton administration and president of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a Washington think tank where Mr. Tillerson is a board member. In 2011, Mr. Tillerson struck a deal giving Exxon access to prized Arctic resources in Russia, as well as allowing Russia's state oil company, OAO, Rosneft, to invest in Exxon concessions all over the world. The following year, the Kremlin bestowed the country's Order of Friendship decoration on Mr. Tillerson. The deal would have been transformative for Exxon. Mr. Putin at the time called it one of the most important involving Russia and the U.S., forecasting the partnership could eventually spend $500 billion, but it was subsequently blocked by sanctions of Russia that the U.S. and its allies imposed 2 years after the country's referendum that was held in Crimea, where the Crimeans voted to reunify with Russia, and the conflict in Ukraine. Tillerson spoke against the sanctions at the company's annual meeting in 2014. He said, "We always encourage the people who are making those decisions to consider the very broad collateral damage advantage of who are they really harming with sanctions. As such, many have speculated that under his reign, the State Department may quietly drop any existing sanctions against Russia. Good, because the sanctions are not only hurting the United States, they're also hurting their Western allies in Europe. It benefits no one. One of the first issues Tillerson would have to resolve as Secretary of State would be his holdings of Exxon shares, many of which aren't scheduled to vest for more than a decade. The value of those shares could go up if the sanctions of Russia were lifted. The shares would likely have to be sold under the State Department's ethic rules. Chase Utermer, a former U.S. ambassador to Qatar, said in an interview. He could not erase his strong relationship with a particular country, Mr. Utermer said. The best protection from a conflict of interest is transparency. Tillerson will sell his 150 plus million in XOM shares tax-free, courtesy of the same tax break that was introduced in 1989 under the administration of President George H.W. Bush, which allowed Hank Paulson, Colin Powell, and plenty of other public servants to dispose of their equity holdings without paying taxes. To get the tax relief, it must be deemed reasonably necessary for a public official to divest his shares, or a congressional committee must require the asset sale according to Section 104(3) of the tax code, something which is virtually assured in the case of Tillerson. Next, the environmentalists will certainly be displeased with Trump's choice. Even though Tillerson helped shift Exxon's response to climate change when he took over as CEO in 2006, he embraced the carbon tax and the best potential policy solution and has said climate change is a global problem that warrants action. That was a break from his predecessor, Lee Raymond. So Rex Tillerson's confirmation hearings are going to be interesting to watch, but I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table, given that he has worked personally hands-on with a lot of world leaders, and he's sticking in line with President-elect Trump's foreign policy goals. So I want détente with Russia. Hopefully the anti-Iran sentiment in the administration turns around, because I do think we need to have good relationships with that country. But it is going to be interesting to see where this administration goes. As I said, if Donald Trump succeeds, the country will succeed. So I will try to have faith and hope for the best. On a side note, though, there was another confirmation that was released today that says Rick Perry will head up the Energy Department, the department that he also forgot during the Republican presidential debates that basically cost him the election. So I think that was just extremely funny. Well, I'm the Millennial Revolt. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.